Hello, my lovelies. Well, as you can see, there's something different about me. I've been to Turkey and I've got my turkey teeth done. Do you like them? What did I say? Oh, sexual. Oh, I can't be bothered with that. Bleeding plastic things. Yeah, that's the last time I tried to keep up with the Danny Christies of this world with the bleeding turkey teeth. Right, so you can keep your turkey teeth. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, got them for I think it was £1.89 from Timu. All the horrible things. Horrible. That's it. Let's see, I said, oh, are you Neil? Are you Kelsey? Are you Crafty Cow? Here we are. For all my lovelies. Here we
Dum 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 darling, I love you. Dum dum darling, I love you.
Where's he gone? Wondered where he'd gone then. Anyway, so this is just, I know what I thought I'll try one where I haven't planned a subject matter or anything at all. I just come on and see if anyone wants to come on and chat or anything, just talk, or anyone make suggestions. Didn't you say anything, something Russell Brand? I don't know. I've heard something about it. Isn't there something about his past he's going on about, but I don't know what has happened. I haven't actually read into it. Let's see if I can find it. Russell Brand. Let's see. Latest news. It's about Russell Brand. Oh, is he getting it? He was a philanderer, was he? But I think everyone knew that. He used to boast about it, didn't he? Is that what they're talking about? I never watched television now, you know. Yeah, I never, because I won't pay for the television license. But I know he's a dirty ticket, isn't he? He boasts about how he used to go around. Actually, Lauren Harris was claiming he went with it. He denied it, but she said he did. Well, he used to this, and I saw a tweet something about he's saying, you know, being judged by your past. Well, it doesn't matter. Assault. How long has assaulting people been a crime? A long time, much longer than Russell Brand was on this planet. So you know, that's it. Things are catching up. Oh yeah, in Liverpool apparently at the moment. Little Eeky Kiss, or claims to be. Yeah, this. I mean, the go. I know he's saying that it's the past, but I'm sorry. It's been a long time, hasn't it? I'm older than Russell Brand, and it's always been a crime to assault someone, women or anyone else, isn't it? So, but he always was. He used to brag about being highly sex and all this, but I've never worked out how Russell Brand or what he's actually famed for. I know he was supposed to be a comedian, but I've never seen him really tell jokes. Remember when he used to have like the beehive hairdo? But I could never see where he was so funny. And then he was in a couple of films, wasn't he? Wrote a couple of books. That's all he seems to be known for. Well, it might be, Kelsey, that's it. It might be. See, people do make, this is another thing, people do make allegations, don't they? To get the name in the press. I've seen that happening so many times. Because I'm sure if, I don't know, the idea I get of Russell Brand, I don't know, I might be wrong, but if he was coming on too strong to a woman, if she said to him, no, now, stop us, he'd stop it. I don't think he's that type that he'd force himself, but you don't know, do you? You know, I can't. Every time I go live, my nose and hair start going all itchy for some reason. I hate that touching my face all the time. Seems to be the minute I put the camera on, I start getting itchy. Yeah, so, but you do get people make this allegation. Yeah, it might be a distraction, Kelsey. It might be. Well, think about, see, this is nothing you've got to get into your mind, right, with the MeToo movement. It's like, well, oh, what's her name? Remember policewoman Angie Dickinson? She was asked about this MeToo movement. She said, look, a man inviting you to his room and opening his bathrobe and asking you if you're interested, she said, isn't R-A-P-E. It isn't. You just say, no, thank you very much. Have a good laugh if you want to and walk away. But now it's like people are too eager to see effing as being an assault. I mean, don't know where this is all going to lead. It's going to end up that you'll have to bleed and sign a contract and have it witnessed by a judge before you go into a relationship with anyone. And of course, what was the biggest, what was the one that raped? Do you remember, what was her name? Roxanne Palace, was it? Is that was her name? Roxanne Palace. And she played Punchgate, do you remember that? On Celebrity Big Brother. And she put her right in the Me Too movement, didn't she, by doing that? Claimed she'd been assaulted by that Ryan fella, and he's actually a Liverpool actor, isn't he? And it was all lies. She said she misinterpreted. No, she didn't. She lied. She didn't misinterpret that. She laughed after it happened. So it's so you have to be careful. See, it's both ways. You have to take assault seriously, but also you have to get into perspective and get a reality. Look, I'm sure that someone, you know, it's the way the world's going, it's getting weird. It's very, very easy to accuse people of assault now, when really it's, how does someone let them know? How does someone let someone else know that they fancy them? Even if you say it now, you can get in trouble for saying it. Oh, they said they fancied me. Did they want to go out with sexual harassment? It's ridiculous, it is. You just turn around and say, thank you very, Jesus, what if someone said that to me? You know, oh, I fancy you. Even if it was the elephant man, I'd say, oh, thank you very much, and I'd be pleased with the bleeding compliment. I wouldn't be saying, oh my God, that bleeding thing's, I'm not putting those teeth in again. I wouldn't turn around and say, oh my God, I've just been sexually harassed. He said he fancied me. It'd be like, oh God, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the compliment. Thank you, darling, for the compliment, but I'm not interested. That's what you do. You know, people need to, especially some women, put on the big girl knickers and just handle a man when he needs handling. You know, quite capable of handling a man and say, no, I'm not interested, or get lost, buddy. Your friend is starting you football. Football. Excuse me. Ex-ballet dancer. Refined. Delicate. Beautiful. Do I look like someone that would be into football? Do you really think I'd be into football, darling? I'm always good, Billy. What's that supposed to mean, eh? You see, talking about taking offence, what's he saying? And are you good? Now, let's read into this, people. Let's read into what Big Billy's saying there. I can see what he's saying here, and I think we all can see what he's saying here, can't we? Yeah, are you good? What he's really wants to know is that if I'm bad, I'm willing to get down, dirty, and bad with him, isn't he? We can all see it. I should go to the police now and report him for sexual harassment. I should. Yes, I know you're good. Yes, you don't fool me, Billy. I know what you're asking me. I know what you're asking me. Yes. Yes. No, I'm not interested and I'm not giving out. So there we are. Yes. Yes. Here's a philanderer. Where is he? Where is he? He's vanished. Here's a philanderer. Yes. Good evening, Anne, and everybody in the chat. Well, we know what that means, don't we? Good evening, Anne, and everybody in the chat. Oh, he's into group. He wants an orgy, doesn't he? Yes, we can see that's the lead into an orgy. What he's saying, good evening, everybody in the chat. He's saying that you're all up for it, a group orgy. Yes, forget it, Jockney. Forget it. No group orgies here. See, that's what the world's turning into. It really is turning into thing. You can't say it now, but it's like, oh my God. I always say there's a difference when someone is intentionally trying to offend someone, and there's a difference when a person just isn't watching what they're saying or not thinking it or they haven't thought it through. There's a big, big difference, but now you can't see them. On my email, Crafty Cow, if you get into you'll see it on my About page. Yeah, so this totally unplanned. So we've started about Russell Brand, I would say, Daisy Ticket, but I don't imagine. You see, I say it depends what you see as being assault. That's what I mean. Is grabbing, which in my idea is if you grab hold of someone, the backside or something, yeah, that is to me going too far. But you know, if you just like, if a man winks at a woman and does that and says, you know, fancy a drink or something, that's not harassment, for God's sake. Okay, in the workplace, you don't want to have none. But I tell you what, when I was working with the police, they right, dirty bastards, they are. They're all copping up with this one, that one. And you say, what the hell are you lot doing in your spare time? So because you all seem to be suddenly dating each other. And this was the funny thing about cops. They always seemed to, it was so many, was weird nurses. Nurses with blonde hair seem to be very popular with the police. Nurses with well, this is it. See, doing that is to me assault. That is assault. That you don't have to do that. Say that you just put your hand. I wouldn't even do that. Put your hand around someone's waist because that still get to a place. As long as you don't touch, you don't touch. And a man isn't go because I mean, what's going to happen? No, as I say, you'll have to have a bleeding solicitor and cameras on you before you date in the future. It also depends if we are using the definitions of self from today or the standards accepted 20 years ago when it happened. Well, it was serious 20 years ago as well, but if you went back to something like the 70s, remember before, especially before 1975, which I can remember, and Jockney will remember this, women had very few rights. Men were at liberty to do a lot of things to women. And it was shocking. I remember thinking, who was it? Anne Widdecombe saying this, and she was right. She said, if you go back to pre-1975, that was the turning point in 1975 for women. That's when you got equal pay. That's when you had equality came in. And it was true, you could be denied a bank account because you were a woman. You could be denied a flat or accommodation because you're a woman on your own. You were considered, literally, you could be considered a prostitute. There was lots. And I remember saying one thing, and it was true. I remember this well. A woman in a lot of places couldn't go up to a bar and order a drink, she had to have a man order a drink for her because she'd be considered a prostitute. Honestly. So if you'd compare what was going on then, what would have been assault then to what it is now. And one thing that used to go through me, and I remember this, and especially happened with the Yorkshire, remember the Yorkshire Ripper? You'd see news interviews and they'd say, oh, you know, she wasn't a prostitute, she was an innocent victim. And it'd be like, no, they're all innocent victims, whether the sex workers or not, they're innocent victims. But they used to classify like that. And that was women used to say that. Oh, yeah, she wasn't a prostitute, she was an innocent victim. It'd be like, they're all innocent victims. You know, it's not, there's no such thing as a guilty victim. Well, this is the problem. Most girl, you have to be careful because I saw one. It depends what's going on. You have to be careful with these chase situations because there have been deaths caused by it, and I nearly became a statistic in that. I was nearly bloody killed outright when the police were chasing. What it was, God, this is so. Someone was watching over me that day. Someone was watching over, and sometime me having a poor memory saved my life. I was ready to go out, and there's a bus stop not far from me, and I went out the door and I thought, oh my God, I've forgotten. I forget what it was, but I forgot something. So I walked in and I walked out again. And just as I got to the gate pass of my driveway, next thing I just heard bang. And the bus stop, it's like a concrete bus stop, the post came shooting right past me at tremendous speed, and then I saw this car and this woman just clinging onto the fence, looking like she was going to drop dead of shock. What it was, the police had been chasing a car, and they came round the corner, which they shouldn't have done. At full speed, they could have killed anyone. But if I hadn't turned back to go inside to the house, I would have been dead. I would have been killed outright by that bus stop, no doubt about it. And when I went up to them, and I remember the officer, he was so laissez-faire about it. I said, are you stupid? I said, you just nearly killed that woman. I had to get an ambulance for the woman. She wasn't hit, but she was very nearly hit. And she was saying, I thought she was going to die. I thought she was going to die. I said, you could have killed someone, you idiot. So they have to be very, very careful. But yeah, came around the corner full tilt. Never even stopped. So you have to be, when the chasers, they're saying, is it worth it? Because they could end up killing someone. Or to just let who's that aimed at, Joe? What's that question for? Let Joe reply to that, because I don't know why he's asking that or who's asking. Are you DJ, Aki? Are you DJ? Here we are. This is for you. Here we are. Well, he's usually all right. That Joe fella, I don't know why he's going on like that. It's a pointless question, isn't it? Actually, he's getting blocked. Because he's never done that before. That's why I said, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? I mean, that is just totally pointless. Why get yourself blocked asking a stupid question like that? I don't know. Maybe he hasn't got his drugs, or he has got his drugs. I don't know. Oh, yeah, they were definitely. watching over me. If if I hadn't turned back to go into the house, I would have been dead, definitely. It was skip. I say, please, he was just so laid back. I was fuming because she could have been killed at the bus stop. Now it tells you she was lucky that she wasn't standing right next to the bus stop. She was very lucky because if she'd been right about the bus stop, she would have been killed outright. Because the police car, it wasn't a police car; it's like a detective's car, mounted the pavement. And this is another thing. It didn't have its clackers going, which by law they're supposed to have when they're in a chase. Or I would have heard it. And I can't, all that I heard was a screech and bang and this thing flying right past me. See this? It's oh look, Janice. I've said this before. I have no time for any of them. No time for any of them whatsoever. I know what they're like. And they've never been any different. And he used to try to warn people, especially when the VIP thing was raging. I said, don't get misled here. Because they were all, oh, we're finally being listened to by the press. That means every child's going to be saved. I said, don't fall for it. I said, it's all to get money, it's all to start it, and then they'll dump it, move on to something else, and you can go and start off. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Oh, Liverpool won 3-1. Yeah, does anyone want to come on and have a chat? I'm surprised though, Rachel, at that Joe fella. He's never been arsey like that before. Weird. But, I thought, why is he asking that? I don't know what they think I'm going to do. Go, oh my God. Oh, I'm going to have to end it now. I think that's what they hope you're going to do. What's not going to happen? Usually happens to people like that go around trying to upset people because their own lives are so miserable. Hiya, Adam. Yeah, me and Adam were talking about schools. Adam doesn't think that you should be filming. Teachers should be filming. Actually, I didn't come up with that. I copied that off someone else. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. See, it was different years ago, I say. Different years ago. God, we used to get the cane, the strap. They could hit you with rulers. They could smack you. And I tell you now, it's true, and Jockney will back me up on this. There was no point going to your parents saying, oh, I just got hit by the teacher, or the teacher told me off, because the response from 99.9% of parents back in those days was, well, you must have been something wrong. You must have done something wrong. So go on. You're not going out to play. That was it. So you wouldn't tell your parents. You'd think, oh, God, what's the point of telling them? Because they're not going to back me up. And I can't remember, only one teacher I can ever remember. I'm not saying there's no rogue teachers, but don't forget, like police officers, when you get police officers with cameras on, it also puts them on the guard because they know everything they're doing and saying can be heard. So they're encouraging something to happen. And actually, that was the reason why police officers first started using them, to be able to prove that they hadn't been acting off guard or off hand. But anyway, yeah, years ago, you'd be told off by your parents then. But you must have done something wrong. I think what it was, I was telling about this teacher. There's one teacher, horrible cow, couldn't stand her. And me and her son, became friends at one point. That must have driven her mad. She was a horrible old bitch. She didn't like me. She really did not like me. And I remember it got so bad. She didn't hit me. She didn't belittle me or anything like that. It's just she'd say snide things when, you know, there was no one else out. Or she'd call me to the other teachers. And she'd do things like that. And as I grew up, I thought, you know what, I'd love to meet that old cow. And I'd tell her straight to face, you old bitch. But never did meet her again. But to me, it's gone ridiculous now. Look, we got smacked, we got hit, we survived. We survived. I mean, there were some things back then which I wouldn't bring back. And that is the things like the Borsal system, which was horrific. I mean, you're just going to teach a child today. If a youth's got problems and you send them to a bleeding place like that, they're going to end up seriously with more problems. I will say, here we are. Now, I don't want you trying to do a Russell Brand on me. Yeah, no Russell Brand.
Good afternoon. Is it afternoon or evening? Oh, not evening. Good evening, Anne. How are you?
It's 18, little dot, 28. So,
yeah,
just saying, what's that? I think all the major saves defo should, but no one else. It's a bit too big, brother, for my. Well, do you know what, Adam? Just look at it this way, right? Which I think is the most scariest thing. I don't know about you, Johnny, but when I go downtown now and I walk past the school, they've got cameras, intercom, everything, and security gates on it. And that scares the hell out of me because I'm thinking, what has the world come to? That a school needs that on us. It needs literally high security on it and intercoms. You can't just open the gate and walk in. You have to use the intercom, and it's like, that is scary. It's going to scare. But years ago, when teachers were tough, and you just, I think what it was, the idea then, wasn't it, Johnny? You were expected to respect authority. So that, and your parents came from a time when they had to respect authority. So they thought it toughened you up. If when you came home and said, oh, the teacher told me I've all this, if they turned around and said, well, just put up with it. It's like my parents, if I went home and said, oh, I've just been hit by one of the other kids, or one of the other kids is bullying me. I remember the standard response from especially my mama, was, oh, go out and hit them back. She wouldn't.
Yeah, that's right.
That was it. They more or less like you. They later toughened you up. They wouldn't, because I remember she used to say to me, Mum, she said, the worst thing any parent can do is when the child comes home and says, you know, little Jimmy's just hit me. The worst thing they can do is go out and start having an argument with the little Jimmy's parents, because she said, guess what? The parents will fall out. And so next thing you'll see little Jimmy and their kid playing together. So they'll have forgotten the argument. And that's the truth. Just let your kids get on with it, people. Don't fight the battles for them. Let's say, toughen up and do it. Get on with it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things, you know, about the school teacher, like, you know, up in Scotland, we had the thing called the belt, or they call it the toss. It was a leather belt. And I tell you, this thing used to give you welts right up your arm. You used to say, roll your sleeves up, some of them, you know. They were a bit masochistic. So instead of just getting you on the palm of your hand, like, you could end up having a welt from, like, you know, where your elbow is, like, on your sort of forearm. No forearm, I don't know what you call that bit, but where your palm is, and you could get this welt up. Well, I tell you what, I'll tell you a couple of my experiences and with discipline, because it was a lot of discipline back in the days. I mean, we had a PE teacher, a new PE teacher. In our school I went to, we were all rough. We were ruffians, you know, we were hard. So he came in and we were all no listening to this guy. He just grabbed me. I was only a wee guy, a wee guy. And he pinned me against the wall bars, you know, picked me up by the throat. Against you know, and he's going, you're going to listen to what I say and you'll keep your mouth shut. Do you know, I never said nothing after that.
Yeah, this is it. It was expected that we didn't know any different. Now, if you did that, there'd be an uproar. But we didn't know
Yeah,
any different back then. That was expected. That's the way our parents were brought up. So they thought it was normal and they expected the teachers to do that. But yeah, I
yeah,
remember the strap. We used to have the strap, the cane. Now, only the head of the school could give you the cane for some reason. But you'd get the strap, which stung like hell. And they could only hit you on the hand with the strap.
yeah, yeah.
But they could pick up
What
a
was the cane?
ruler,
Where did,
anything.
aye.
Have a go, yeah.
Whereabouts did they hit? No, the cane, because we never had the cane in Scotland. Where did he cane your hand as well with a
Yeah.
cane, is it?
Yeah, they wouldn't go near your buttocks. That some schools used to make the kids bend over. They wouldn't do that. They do your hand, and you'd get what they say. The typical one, 3 are the best, but it was only
Yeah.
the head of the school could give you that. But a teacher could pick up a ruler and give you a good whacking with it. And the worst one was when they go for your knuckles. Oh, because I used to have to learn to play the piano because I was doing the ballet to get the musicality into me. And I
Oh,
hated
yeah.
it, Jockney. I wish I'd kept it up, but I hated piano practice because you say, look, if I'm training to be a dancer, why the hell am I training to be a pianist as well? Because I'm not going to be able to play the piano and go on stage. But what it was, being a ballet dancer, you have to be able to understand
Aye.
music inside and out. And that's how you do it. But if you were like me, and it's like, oh God, I can't be arsed with, and hadn't been practicing in my spare time, you'd get a ruler on your knuckles. Now that was the worst. That would kill. That would absolutely kill that. But I survived. There's nothing wrong. That's it. We all survived it. And this nonsense of violence breeds violence. Nonsense. Like kids now aren't violent. I think they are, aren't they, Jockney? And they don't get hit in school. They're violent. So it's a load of nonsense, is what they say.
Yeah. I'll tell you another little story. And I had a teacher, you know, as I say, our school was really rough, like, you know, and we got this. I think this is when I first went up to the secondary, and we had the very first art class, you know, first in, you know, the first year at the secondary. So this little guy come along, like, well, he was taller than me, but we were all really wee. But he was a wee guy, if you know what I mean, the teacher. And he was called a Mr. Kane, you know, this was back in the days. And he was the art teacher. And he had you probably call it like a condition or a disability. He had a slight sort of hump on his back, you know, one of the side of his shoulders, like, and that. So we're all, like, back in the days, we were cruel, weren't we? So we're laughing at this teacher, you know, laughing. He goes, he opens the door and he goes, "You's free." He points to me and 2 other guys, you know, because we were the sort of out of control lot, you know what I mean? He's going to get out there and we sit down. So we're standing up there and he goes into his desk. He opened his desk and he took out the strap, you know, the strap thing. And this strap looked a funny colour. It was like a sort of dark brown, shiny. It was something strange about it. And he went like that to the first guy. I was last in the line, you know, there's 3 of us. The first guy, he went, "Get your hands out," and then he says, "Double it." So you have to put your hands out and put one hand on top of the other. Yeah. So that, he swung the thing, and because he had this sort of thing with his shoulder or whatever, I noticed straight away. Hang on a minute, this is fast and, you know what I mean, powerful. You know the way he's done it. And this guy just fell on the floor crying. You know the kid, like, you know. And then the next one copped it. By the time he's come to me, and I think I'm crying before he's even hit me.
Do you know what? This is it. And I remember one teacher, he used to jump up, literally, as he strapped the students. So when he got strapped, he'd literally jump up. So they got the full force of that strap on the hand. But yeah, it was, I say, because it was considered normal then. People used to just accept it. But I wouldn't say go back to those days, but what we've got to go back to is parents not running in and starting to cause havoc, because that was another thing that didn't happen. Now, can remember it didn't happen in the school
Yeah.
I was at. It happened in another school. There was all shock horror. And I found out that one of the parents had gone in and punched one of the teachers. That child was removed right from that school there and then.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
you know,
child couldn't get another school to take them on.
yeah. You know what you alluded to before about the thing about if you told your parents that you had been told off or something. Well,
Yeah.
see if I went back, anybody that I know, like, we went back in the days when I went to school and said the teacher gave us a strap, thinking our like mother or father's going to go, oh, I'm going to go down and talk to the teacher. What you would get is you'd get a whack off them, off your
Well,
mother or father.
This is what I used to get, and I never used to bother telling my parents. No, I wasn't the type of kid, because when you go to, when you're privileged enough to go to a school like I did, and it's that you're one place, thousands, well not thousands, hundreds were turned away. You were lucky that you got in there. You sort of you don't want to spoil that, and you can be kicked out at any point. But we all behaved ourselves, but on the odd occasions when a teacher would lose it and smack you, you said to your parents, I said, I got smacked and it wasn't fair, I was tired or I couldn't do the exercise properly. It'd just be, oh, well, you must have done something wrong, you must have been cheeky or something, so put up with it. They wouldn't get involved where parents now get involved, and this is all this. It's not my child, it's my best friend. No, it's not your best friend, it's your child. And you're responsible for bringing that child up so that when they go out into society, they can stand on their own feet, they can earn their own living, and they stop being a baby having to rely on you. And I think that's my personal view, where everything's gone tits up, Jockney. People don't have children, they have best friends. That's wrong. That's wrong. It goes against the whole way, because your child should respect you for one. But again, you have to respect your child. It's a two-way deal. It's not like the child has to respect the parent no matter what. And that was the problem in the past. You could get brutalized by some parents, will brutalize the kids and then still expect to be respected. It's a two-way thing, but it should always be like, you could never, this thing of calling the adults, this is nothing that I find shocking even today, calling an adult by the first name, a child. It's like, what? That couldn't. Do you remember that? You'd never do that. It was always Mr. or Mrs., wasn't it? Yeah, what? Right, yeah. That was considered the height of ignorance and insult for a child to talk to an adult. You had to wait, even when you were getting on yourself, if they were older than you. I still now will never call someone when I can find someone that's older than me, by the first name, unless they ask me to or give me permission to, because, and that's where it's gone tits up. There's no people I say that, oh, I hate that. It's my best friend. No, it's not your best friend, darling. It's your child. And you're supposed to make sure that child goes to school, gets their education, goes out, makes the best of their life, and you help them as much as you can. And the minute they hit the age when they can get out there and start living their own life, you say, go on out. If you need any help, come to me. I'll always love you until the day I die, and beyond the day I die, I'll love you, and I'll always be there to help you. But you've got to start making your own way in life, and don't come running to me unless it's something serious that you need help with. And that's why things have gone all bad now, because there's no, it's strange. And the way some people talk to the parents, that was a no-no as well. You'd never, I can never remember this, Johnny. I can never remember even thinking of arguing back with my parents. It wasn't even a thing that came into my head. No, but I disagreed with anything they said, or I was annoyed by the way they spoke to me. It didn't even enter my head. It was a totally alien concept that I could answer them back. It would just be, you've been told, get on with it. But there were different days then, different days, weren't they? But I'll just catch up on the chat, see what's going on here.
That's it, yeah.
Let's see. Because people, people think I ignored them too much now. Let's see. They all have little chats with themselves, don't they, my little followers? They all have little chats on their own. But yeah, how are you, Amy? How are you, sweetheart? Yeah, it's just a different world, Jockney, that's it. We come from we're our family. We're the last of the owl breed when
Right.
you
You know
know
that teacher I was telling you about, the guy, the one that had the sort of a hump thing, the condition on his shoulder. Well, I found out. You remember I said when I seen the belt, it looked a bit strange and shiny and all that. Because he was an art teacher, what he would do is he'd take the belt out, he'd put it on the desk, and he'd use sort of like things like linseed oil or something. He used to do something like that strap, and it made it like, I tell you what, we weren't cheeky to this teacher again. After that first day, we used to go in. Oh yes, Mr. Kane, yeah, get your paper out, start drawing and all that.
You know what they used to put in them? Some of them would put, in the strap, they put a file in it, a piece of metal, so it would be harder. That's what it was. They used to put a file in it, so so it would be worse. But again, teachers now, it's gone worse now. And another thing, the invention of the devil, Satan's invention, mobile phones. Because do you remember, if a kid played up years ago in school, the teacher just had to sort of try to manage the situation, and the head teacher would have to manage the situation. Because there were no mobile phones, so you couldn't just phone the parent. You'd have to wait until the parents came to the school to pick the child up, or go out and find the parent. They used to have a word with the parents. But now, and this I think with another thing that's wrong, it's now all that a school has to do. If a kid plays up, phone up the parent and say, you'll have to come and collect your child playing up. So the parent has no choice but to go and collect the child. They've got no choice but to do it. But what message does that give a kid? If you don't want to be in school, just play up and your parent will be called. I think now that's another headache. When in the past they couldn't do that. I think they need to, somehow I think they need to go back to the old days to do. So, not all the old days, because they didn't have a concept then, did they, of ADHD or that wasn't understood then. Or dyslexia, you'd just be called an idiot, wouldn't you? Or a dunce.
Yeah.
But what's this when I worked at the library, my manager was my old social studies teacher, and I still called him Mr. Olden right until, that's it, you did, Teagle. You never called them by the first name. That happened to me when I was with the police. They wanted to bring all these kids in. And this community support officer was bringing the children in so they could see the police station. And so he said, I'll bring them in and tell them. I used to get called Teddy in the police force, nicknames. I'll say, here's Terry. And I said, no, you won't. And he looked at me. I said, you won't. I said, call me by my first name. I said, they'll call me Sir. I said, that's what they'll call me. And so we went, oh, all right. I said, yes. I said, I've none of this nonsense. And so when I used to work in the theatre, well, I wouldn't allow kids to call me by my first name. So anyway, strange enough, he didn't bring the kiddies in to see me. For some strange, they saw the rest of the station, didn't bring them in to see me. Oh no, won't have it. It's like, no. Not going to come in here. I said, they don't even know me. I don't know them, and they're calling me by my first name. No chance. Wouldn't happen. But so I'm just looking at the chat, Johnny.
Yeah, I remember when I was like, I think it was one of my primary schools or something. We went on this thing to a theatre, like one Christmas. It might have been like a pantomime thing, but this one was called Rumpelstiltskin, the sort of thing. And I tell you what, when I went to see that, it was like, how can I put it? It was brilliant. You know what I mean? Like back in the drab old days, black and white TVs and all that sort of stuff. And I went in, and all these people have got all the colour, the costumes are all
Yeah.
green and yellow, and the lighting on the stage is brilliant.
No,
But the acting and all that, and I'll tell you what, that stuck with me like for all my life.
Yeah.
That's why I like to go to musicals, like in the theatres, because I think it was that one thing like really influenced me.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
Johnny, it does.
Yeah.
Every child, I think it should be part of the curriculum and money put into it so that children go to the theatre. Because I tell you now, I remember, it was well after I stopped doing ballet, but I was still working in the theatre, and I did this community project. When was this? This would have been the 1990s, 97, something like that. And I thought I'll do this community project, and said we want someone to do a touring set of schools on Merseyside about bullying and all this. So I said, I'll help do the production. So a brilliant group of people got together, and we had the touring rig, which is all the lights and everything that you set up, and went into the schools. Johnny, that was an eye-opener for me. A total eye-opener, because we went to places. There's one place not far from me in Belvale, and it was like not a posh school, but it wasn't. It was a a nice small school, and the attitude was this. We were getting this attitude off them, and at one point I remember they were supposed to provide meals for the staff that were putting on this production, and they didn't do it. So I went right up to the headmaster and I said, look, that was the agreement. And he said, well, the cook wants pay. And I said, well, you tell the cook that I'm going to order that lighting rig gets taken down right now. I said, unless my staff get fed and get a meal. And I said, get tea or coffee or what they want. So that's the agreement, do it, or the rig's coming down. And you can explain it to the kids. Like that, suddenly we got it. We went to a place, right, John? And this just shows you the difference. It looked like Beirut. The windows, you could tell, hadn't been washed for years. There were bars on the windows and everything, and you were thinking, good God, what is this? Is this a prison? Or a school? It was a school, but it looked like a prison. We went in, and do you know what? We were treated like lords and ladies, but what got me was we put it on our jockney. This made me convince people, make sure your children always go to the theatre to see something. You could see the kids, and they were like, they'd never seen a live theatre performance like that. And they were all joining in, and because there were like little scenes where the kids could join in with it. And they were all, and you knew, like you've just said, when you see that pantomime, I knew when I walked out there, that will be a memory they'll look back to. And that's why I say, when in schools, there should be money put aside to go and see a theatre production, a ballet, an opera, all of it, so they get to say, or ask these companies to go in. Sometimes they will do. Ask them to go in. And I used to say this about the Royal as well, because you used to know me this about the Royal. The Royal were always very snobbish about touring in England. We toured in America, Japan, anyway, but the north of England never saw it. Now you say, do you know what? They shouldn't get any arts funding unless they tour the provinces. But they never have done. And I think it should be, you don't get your funding from the Arts Council unless you actually go and tour around the north part of England. Because outside, why we're paying for that company. The Birmingham Royal Ballet, right? That's another annoying one. Top rate company, the Birmingham Royal Ballet. They used to be Sadler's Wells. Sadler's Wells is just basically just as good as the Royal Ballet, but they always toured all around the country. Once they went to Birmingham and became the Birmingham Royal Ballet, that was it. They stopped touring. Where they should be forced to tour, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah,
they should be. But because of course, with the Birmingham Royal Ballet, or what's the Sadler's Wells Royal Ballet, The difference was you want to go and see a production at the Royal Ballet, you're going to pay for a decent seat, something like 220 quid.
Oh, what?
Compare that with the Sadler's Wells Royal Ballet, you'd be paying 30, 40 quid and you'd be seeing basically the same production.
Oh, that's
Go
good, isn't it?
figure. Go figure. So it's
Yeah.
but every child, I don't know, do people agree with that in the chat, that every child, when age appropriate, should go and see all the arts in the theatre, every kind, to get them inspired by it. And like you said, Johnny, it's stuck with you all this time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Aye. Definitely.
Yeah, but
I mean, I think a good thing would be like if they see that when I went to see Marwan, we went, I think, on a bus or a coach, to the theatre. So I think they should take them from the schools to the theatres, like that sort of thing, like a
They
days
should.
out thing.
Yeah, Hal, you've got a point there. I mean, opera's different in that, especially if it's sung, a lot of them are in Italian, so it's whether you're going to get it sung in English or not. But if they had opera singers going into the schools to just give short, bits of arias, or that could happen. We used to have opera singers visiting us, but we used to go to see operas as well. But you can sort of introduce them, but there'll be a lot that will go to see a concert as well, a classical concert and all that. I think children, as you said, it has a big effect on you, and it does. I think it does have effect. Getting ballet dancers to go into schools, of course, is a big ask, because simply the floors, you've got to have the right flooring, or you're going to have an injured dancer. Let's put it that way. So that's more difficult to have a ballet dancer going in and into a school, unless they've got the right flooring so that the dancer doesn't injure themselves. But so, do you go to the theatre often? I know you say you like the musicals. Have you ever been to see ballets or operas yourself?
I've never actually
Johnny?
been to a ballet or opera, but the only thing I've been to, I know it's not the same, but I'm going to go and see it again when it comes up London, West End. Is that Gilbert and Sullivan's Mikado's brilliant?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
That's the one with, isn't it? Three little maids from school, or something like that. Yeah, the three little the Japanese, aren't they?
I went to see it. I took my little girlfriend at the time up just in from the Savoy Hotel. There's a little theatre under the arches of a bridge near Waterloo, and it's called the Players Theatre. And I got a couple of good tickets for it. It's a really tiny theatre. It's been there for years. And in it, the musical accompaniment was two baby grand pianos. So we were looking at the pianos sideways on. And this musical, it was one of the best things I've ever seen. Honest, that's why I'm going to go back and see it. It's Mikado, the actual songs and everything. Oh, brilliant. Because people do different interpretations. When you dress up and all that, it might not be the traditional.
Well, I don't like that. I don't like that. I hate it. And opera companies tend to do this, and Shakespearean companies do this as well, to cut costs, because especially with Shakespeare, because if you do Shakespeare in the original Elizabethan dress, God, it's astronomically expensive to have those costumes made. So you can understand why they do it in modern dress. But I'm sorry, when you see, and they've just done it recently in Covent Garden, they put on a production of Turandot, or what some people call Turandot now, by Puccini. And to see that, they did it in all its regalia, kept it Chinese. I'll see if I can find it very, very quickly. I know they had an advert for it. And just watch this. But this is why you're paying £200 a seat.
Aye.
Opera House.
Yeah.
Royal Opera House. Actually, let's type it in. Royal Opera House. I think I used to go dance on that stage when I was younger. Jockney. It's weird when I think of it now.
what happened with the piano? You know, you said you wish you would have kept doing the piano, like learn the piano, like when you were younger.
I just got bored. I could never get into it. I was bored with it. So it was. I wish now I had kept her up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
I
I was
couldn't see the
thinking.
point. I was having to do. Have I gone off?
No, I
Oh,
can hear
no,
you.
I've gone
Okay.
off then. Yeah, what it was, Johnny, it was just I couldn't see. Don't forget, it was all right when it was younger, but when I started getting to the age of 13, 14, and the ballet training was getting intense, very intense, I couldn't see the point of spending all that time doing that and having to. Let's see, I'm just seeing if I can find a decent one from here. But when you see it, it's full. I don't want to. I just want to. Let's see. Is this an advert for it? It's absolutely stunning. 8 months ago, 8 months ago, 5 months ago. It will be the latest one once. Is it? Here we are. I won't play all of it. Is this the right one? They did recently. I want to get to it. Here we go. I'll just show a quick scene from this. But when they do it in the traditional way with the Chinese sets in it, it's absolutely amazing. So just let's share screen. It's wonderful. I'll only show a little bit, people. Don't worry, I'm not going to show the whole advert for it.
As soon as I saw Turandot, I just fell in love with her. Her beauty is incredible. I mean, I just
Big sacrifice for love.
They're not showing the full sets.
there.
I've got the wrong one. I don't know what's happened there. I'll come out of it.
And you've got time.
No, they did an advert for it, and I can't find it now, but it was absolutely stunning. The advert
Yeah, the
for it.
costumes like good, don't they? Chinese costumes look good, don't they? You know the.
Yeah,
stuff
well, this
like-
is it. But when you see it done in the full, as I say, Jockney, the full, the full sets, it's absolutely.
yeah.
It takes you into the. It's like ballet. I mean, you can't cut corners with ballet. They've tried it. They've tried to do modern updates with modern costumes as Swan Lake, and people don't like it. They want the tutus, they want the glitter, and that costs a lot of money.
Definitely.
And they want the lavish sets. But actually, opera's more expensive. Did you know this? A full opera production is more expensive than a ballet production. Because
I don't like you know when they contemporarise. I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah.
You know, like say Hamlet, and they're all wearing suits and things like that. You know,
exactly.
It just puts me straight away. I think I don't want to watch this. You know.
Sometimes it depends how they do it. I've seen a couple of Shakespeare plays where they've done it in more contemporary styles, and it seems to have worked. But it either works or it doesn't. But you see Shakespeare done, because of course back in Shakespeare's day, they used to just wear an expensive version of the clothes of the day. They were actually contemporary. They'd be talking about ancient Athens, which A Midsummer Night's Dream, ancient Athens you're talking about, but yet they'd be appearing on stage in Elizabethan costumes. Very expensive silk and all this, but they'd be doing that. But when you see a Shakespeare play done as it would have been done originally, the costumes are just stunned. And they didn't have sets back then either. They just used to do it on a bare stage. They never bothered with any sets.
I've got a general knowledge question for you, and who's the first person to direct a movie and star in it and get an Oscar for it?
Oh God, I don't know. Oh, would it have been? Let me guess. Orson Welles.
No, but you're on the right sort of tracks. You know, think. I don't know if I give you a hint. Think Shakespeare.
Oh, Laurence Olivier.
Aye, that's it.
Laurence Olivier, yeah.
Yeah, which
Hamlet.
Aye, that's it.
Yeah.
Hamlet. Yep. Yeah, he was. I just seen that online. Yeah, he was the first director. You know, like Oscars. He
Yeah.
won for director of the movie and starring in it. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the first guy to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I know he. Do you remember it's Richard III? He did amazing Richard III. He more or less invented how to do Richard III,
Oh yeah.
and that, of course, now people go, oh, it's not PC now the way he does it. And actually, Richard III, they know now, looked like that because they found the skeleton, didn't they? And all this,
Oh
he
yeah.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
looked like that. He did look like that, but it's. See, but Shakespeare, I do love Shakespeare, but I say if you see it in its with the full costumes, it's gorgeous, but it's so expensive. Chopping the people, companies can't afford it. The Royal Shakespeare Company might do it now and again. And did you know the original Juliets and all the females, Cleopatras, were all young boys because women weren't allowed to act then. So when they were actually first performed, Shakespeare's day,
Yeah.
they were all boys. And here's something interesting for you. 12th Night is a woman pretending to be a boy who then is a boy pretending to be a woman. This is so bizarre when you think through it. What it is, she pretends she's a boy. She's in a shipwreck and pretends she's a boy to survive. And then when you think of it, you think, well, in Shakespeare's day, that would have been a boy pretend to be a woman who was pretending to be a boy in the play. It's bizarre. But the reason why Shakespeare did that, because he didn't want them being kept in dresses. So he'd make them as a female. That's why in a lot of Shakespeare plays, women tend to start pretending to be male so that they could get out of the dresses and just be men. But women pretending to be men.
Oh
It
yeah.
was bizarre when you think of it now, absolutely bizarre.
There's a statue of that, Laurence Olivier outside the National Theatre, on the South Bank,
Yeah.
and it looks nothing like him. When he was younger, and he spoke to his son, who's probably, I don't know how old he is, but he's quite an old guy now. But his son said, "Yeah, we're happy with it." When he first put it down the South Bank, he said, "But you look at the statue, really, and it don't look nothing like him,
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. But he
But
was,
he was happy with it.
do you know who was a brilliant Shakespeare actor as well? This will shock you. Do you know Charles Hawtrey? Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, from the Carry On films, yeah.
The Carry On films. For anyone remembers Charles, you might not know Charles Hawtrey. People in the chat, you're too young for him, but he used to be the one that would be in the Carry On films. Go, oh hello, with the little round glasses on, and he used to be in the Will Howe films. He was a brilliant Shakespearean actor, believe it or not. It's hard to believe that, but my favourite was John Gielgud. I loved John Gielgud.
Oh yeah,
He had
John Gielgud, yeah.
the most amazing voice. That man's dictation was perfection, absolute perfection. More than Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier was more your naturalistic actor, wasn't he? He made Shakespeare natural. In other words, he did it as if it was a normal thing. But John Gielgud, he showed you when he spoke Shakespeare, he showed you that it was beautiful poetry, it was beautiful prose, it was writing. Well, Shakespeare didn't just throw it down. He meant it. That's why when they do this, where I was, watch out for this for FC Anthony and Cleopatra, where Cleopatra's crying about Anthony being dead. Oh, and she's screaming, and this way you get start screaming, oh, the elements, he was total rubbish. It's the most beautiful speech in the whole play. There's no way Shakespeare went to all the trouble of writing that beautiful speech for someone to scream it out. It's supposed to be done with solemn sadness, but not screaming. But these stupid bitches seem to scream it out when they're acting the part, and it's like, don't scream it. And one I was impressed by, did you ever see what's his name? He did Hamlet, the film of Hamlet, and Glenn Close was in it.
Oh yeah, Glenn Close.
She was the queen in it, and she's talking about, there's a scene in Hamlet where Ophelia, and the queen is describing Ophelia's death because someone saw Ophelia drown. She drowns herself in the play, and it's the most beautiful speech going. And again, you get a lot of actors do this, Ophelia, and all this business. And you can't hear the musicality of the language or the beauty of it. And I remember when he did it, Glenn Close did it, absolutely amazing. She turns round and you hear her talking, you don't see her face, then it goes onto her face. And she's so solemn but doing it. And then when you see her face, she's got a smirk on her face, just like she's lost. And that's what it is. She's not doing it as a lament, screaming. She's being told how she died. And it's a beautiful vision. In other words, she's killed herself, but she's done so beautifully. And so she's actually in a dream state. But again, we'll be boring people talking about all this Shakespeare, won't we? We've gone from Russell Brand to Shakespeare. Oh, good God, we get it. I'll put the link out quickly, and I'll get off shortly to it. Oh, what have I done that for? I'm sorry, people. That's the wrong one. I've just put out what I was searching for, Toronto.
I can't remember who it was, but I seen something the other day. My mind's went blank in it. That somebody famous has got that the best sort of voice, like for Shakespeare and everything. My mind's just went blank. But there's somebody who, agree this guy is got the best voice. I'll probably come to me. If I remember, I'll let you know who it was the next time.
Same thing. It's like music. It's a personal thing. It's like I say John Gielgud. He is my favourite, but some people might find him too precise in how he used to say things.
I think this person's kicking about at the minute. So what they've done is they've done a scientific thing, things, and they say this is the reason why this person's voice is like people like it and all that sort of thing,
But don't forget, Johnny, this is another thing. When Shakespeare was performing those plays, they didn't pronounce the words like they do now. I mean, now you get this very English clipped sometimes, oh, to be or not to be. Yeah. It wouldn't have been spoken like that. It would have been, they reckon, a sort of West Country accent. And it would have been a country accent. It would have been like to be or not to be. Now, they know that because, of course, Shakespeare put a lot of rhyme in his, did a lot of poetry. And they can tell if it doesn't rhyme that they mustn't. The one is Rosalind from Shakespeare. We say Rosalind now, but they know from the rhyme in Shakespeare's day, it would have been pronounced Rosaline, like that. So they know that. So they had very country sounding voices. They didn't have these perfect English accents we have now. So it was pronounced, and I say they can tell that because, of course, when you've got poetry, you can work out if in the past when that poetry was written, how they pronounce certain words, because, of course, they've got a rhyme. And if you have two words that aren't, matching up to each other, that they must have said it different.
I think was he influenced a lot by Italian, Italy, Shakespeare?
The stories it was. Not really Italy. Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, maybe, was the biggest one. But he used to, it'd be mainly Greece if he was going to do something. He loved Greece. But he does. But Benjamin's saying Hamlet's soliloquy. It is called. It's great. Now, do you know what that's about? The famous one, Hamlet's soliloquy. To be or not to be. Do you know what he's actually talking about there?
No, well, what's he talking about, man?
To be or not to be, I might get this wrong, to be or not to be to suffer the outrageous slings and arrows of, to be or not to be to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. To be or not to be. Should I live on or should I take my own life and suffer life as it is? In other words, he's debating whether he should take his own life.
Yeah, God.
And so Shakespeare, being the genius he was, made someone who was suicidal sound beautiful when they're debating whether to go through with it or not. So that's it, because Hamlet had serious mental health issues, let's put it that way. Serious mental health issues Hamlet had in that play. So, yeah, that's a thing that Most people are surprised by its about. Actually,
Yeah.
whether they should take its life or not. And another thing, oh God, A Midsummer Night's Dream. People now, you say Midsummer Night's Dream, they think fairies, Titania, Oberon, little fairies. They're
Aye, aye.
but gentle little fairies. If you actually read it, they're very dangerous creatures who can cause famines and they can cause storms. They can cause all kinds of trouble.
Oh.
Well, why is it a donkey? Why does Bottom turn into a donkey and Oberon do an enchantment to make Titania fall in love with this donkey-headed, basically, they call them mechanicals, but basically country bumpkin who's got a donkey's head. Why does Oberon do that? This will shock you.
Why is it?
It's shocking. This when I was told this, I
shock
thought,
me,
oh
shock
my
me.
God! I remember it was the what it is that of course he got the idea Shakespeare from the Minotaur or Minotaur, however you want to pronounce
Yeah, I
it.
know
But what he
mine.
did,
Yeah.
Bottom is like a mechanical or country bumpkin, not very intelligent, slow of learning, as he says, and all that. Well, to punish Titania, what Oberon does, he makes her fall in love with Bottom. He turns Bottom into gives him an arse's head. In Shakespeare's day, everyone wanted to know what that meant. It wasn't his head was a donkey. His tackle below was massive. And they used to say then, the more stupid a person was, or the more dim-witted, as they used to say a person was, the bigger the man's appendage would be. So literally, she's in this forest with, I won't use the term I was told, a sex machine with a huge bit of and so people, that goes over people's heads now. They think pretty fairies. No, it's literally she's getting done by a simple man with an absolutely huge appendage, which Shakespeare's audience would have got the meaning of that. And another one is Antony and Cleopatra when the clown comes in with the asp and she's got to take her own life. In Shakespeare's day, they would have been laughing at that. Now we take that as a serious thing. They would have been laughing because figs, he brings the asp in a basket of figs. Figs represented testicles to the Elizabethans. An asp or a worm, and this is the important thing, he keeps on calling it a worm. He doesn't call it an asp or a snake, a worm. A worm meant a man's, dangly bit. So actually, when the clown is going, oh, the asp, the worm stings, and all this business, to sting a woman back then meant to do it to her, that way.
Oh, yeah,
So,
they're doing the business.
That's all filth. It's that whole scene is filthy. Yeah, people sit there going, oh, nowadays thinking it's such a serious thing. It's because they've lost the meaning the way it's. We don't associate figs being genitalia. We don't see worm, the word worm, or sting meaning the sexual act.
Yeah.
So a lot of scenes in Shakespeare that people take serious now were filthy. They were absolutely crude. He was a dirty, potty-mouthed man. He was that used to put on all these filthy things. And the famous scene, Romeo and Juliet, when he's going on that Juliet is like the moon and all this, filth. In Shakespeare's day, they would have been rolling around laughing at that scene, getting all the dirty jokes. He was like Craig. He was an Elizabethan version of this fella. Yeah, filth. And people don't realise that when you see what it actually originally meant to the Elizabethans, they weren't taking it serious. They thought it was an absolute hoose and disgusting. But it was. So anyway, Jockey, what I'll do, I'll round up for today, and tomorrow I'll be on again. God knows what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but I'll be on Monday. I might have a break tomorrow. I don't know. But I enjoyed that. I thought I'd just do something where I wasn't planning what to speak about. And
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, I
well,
enjoyed that.
Thank you again, Johnny, for coming.
Oh, thanks a lot. You have a nice night, Anne, and all the best to you.
Anyway,
See you.
take care, my lovelies. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Bye.
So,
Bye.
bye now.
Bye.